community service. Okay, once again, ladies and gentlemen, that this program, Diplomatic Forum, is also broadcast on RRI Pro 1 Jakarta at 91.2 FM and also rrijakarta.com and also at Voice of Indonesia, voi.co.id and also our YouTube channel, which is VOI Indonesia. And now let's connect to RRI Jakarta Pro 1 with the program Metropolitan International Community Service. So for the hosts, Bapak Rahmana and Ibu Ana Trijaya Kasih, the floor is yours.
RRI World Service Voice of Indonesia and Pro 1 RRI Jakarta present Diplomatic Forum, a talk show analyzing strategic issues and global perspective.
Well, listeners, we are also connecting to the Voice of Indonesia and Metropolitan International Community Service. To begin, let me introduce you my distinguished guest today. First is Ambassador of India, His Excellency Gurik Sin. Welcome. Yes. And the next is Madam Sondan Anggraini, staff of the Trade Diplomacy of Minister of Trade. Nice to see you, ma'am.
Nice to you.
Yep. And the next is Bapak Beginda Pakpahan, PhD. An analyst of political and economic affairs. Welcome to Diplomatic Forum.
Thank you, Pak.
And the last but not least, Mr. First Secretary of Political Mass Media Affairs, the Embassy of Kazakhstan, Mr. Ganjat Khairov. Welcome. Yep. Well, to begin, listener also should note that here in the studio, we have the winners of Indonesian Wonderful 2015, we have 12. And nice to see you, all of you. And also audience, welcome to the studio. We are going to have a discussion about Asian sovereignty in facing global change. First of all, let me remind you that I would like to wish you that everybody should not activate or please keep your cellular phone or mobile phone in silent mode. Yes. Well, to begin, let me ask first I start from Mr. Papahan. Yes. We should know that the globalization is something like two-edged sword. That it has opportunity and challenge. So every country should be open. But to some extent, when we are open, it's something like, we have a different value, different policy. So how do you comment in this point?
Thank you. I think we are now in the globalization situation. And this is a process, the integration and interaction among peoples, companies, and also government in the different countries in the world. And I think what we should do right now, because it's a fact also to our culture, also our people movement, and also affect to our life. And for the country, how to respond to this, I think is different. It must be different between one to the others. But at least what I know for Indonesia, I think we are kind of like in the middle between try to use Indonesia economy based on Pancasila to respond to this situation, to what I explained about the globalization itself.
But in terms something like economic, so it's something like, yes, we have also a domestic policy or national policy.
Yeah.
It's something like what we call new sovereignty tends to be open, but the old one tend to be maintained inside.
Right.
So it's something like, anyhow, we should be open, but if not, it's something like, we cannot create a lot of job. So how do you respond this?
I think what Indonesia should do is more like adaptive and careful in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Why I said this? Because Indonesia should see the external challenges and also internal challenges. What happened right now, we see the global economic downturn around the world, and also we have geopolitical situation in South China Sea, and also we have like a geoeconomic situation, what happened about the mega regional trade blocks between RCEP and TPP. This is the external. But how to respond this? Also, we have like an internal situation, which is, I think, Indonesia economy right now, which is based on the consumption, probably different with India, which is based more production, in my opinion. Therefore, the way to respond is different. And I think what Indonesia should do should be based to its constitution and also the Article 33, which is mentioned, and also in Pancasila, and the fifth principle said that we can kind of like use as a mixed way in order to kind of like, enable state involved in the institutional reform, policy design, and also economic development, but with simultaneously, without forget the spirit of the social justice in that, which is involved through the partnership between public and private sectors and other stakeholders. That's my opinion, I think,
right.
To respond to what happened in outside and also what happened inside.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Pak Bikinar. That was the opinion of an expert. So let's now ask the opinion of the Indonesian government before I ask our guests from other countries. So how about the Indonesian government dealing with this globalization and the challenges and everything?
For us, global challenges are not a new issues. I think we already discussed it since 20 years ago about global challenges.
Right.
But the most important for us, how we look it as an opportunity, I think is the most important one. We always think about challenges, but the most important is how we think it as an opportunity. Every time the global world moves to a new paradigm, we try to adjust ourselves to be fit in the cycles. It is not easy. It takes time. Sometimes we fail, but at the end we can manage it. In the current global economic situation, we face some challenges, but we are optimistic that we can survive by more engagement in the global value chain. We found global value chain as an opportunity with a growing prominence of intermediate goods along with the development of global value chain. We need to work together, how in ASEAN or wider ASEAN, to produce more ASEAN product, or we call it made in ASEAN, goods and services by adding value to intermediate goods and developing BPOs or ITOs. Last week, the government of Indonesia introduced the regulation package aims to facilitate trade, improve competitiveness, and ease doing business. And this is related to global value chain.
Yes, I think that's. Thank you very much, Bu. I think now that is the position of Indonesia in addressing the global challenges. Now, I think we should go to Mr. Ambassador. In how does India preparation or what prepared itself, or how does India, will deal with these global challenges?
Thank you for inviting me to this wonderful forum. I think I agree with both the previous speakers on how Indonesia looks at globalization. And I think it is common to India and Indonesia that in the decade 1945 to 1955, when we both fought for our independence and established new countries, I think there was the initial challenge. How much do we globalize and how much do we retain? And the answer was, let's globalize, because after all, freedom was a global concept. Anti-colonialism was a global concept, and economic development was a global concept. So we grasped these global opportunities. But we each had our own way of dealing domestically. Therefore, today, I think the fact that we are democracies who are developing in pluralistic societies with large young populations, all these are global concepts. But are India and Indonesia similar democracies? No. We have our own characteristic, which is our sovereignty. Similarly, our path to development is similar, but yet we have our own characteristics. Now, in this, we have to see how do we improve our outreach. I think in today's world, democracies are more open and therefore more able to grasp globalization than non-democratic countries. You have to then see how to maximize the opportunity which comes your way. And as Professor has rightly pointed out, that you cannot have a global system where only you are required to open and everybody else will remain closed. So one essential part of the global order is that it is very unfair. Since 1945, the global order has been very unfair. And today, countries like India and Indonesia are in the forefront of trying to reform the United Nations, trying to reform the WTO. The G20 is a new good thing. We are trying to make the Indian Ocean more democratic and responsive to everybody. So in every case, globalization is a great opportunity, but we have to be careful that not to close down, but to make sure that we protect our people from unnecessary onslaught where others take advantage of us.
Yes, and this is also, of course, has something to do with sovereignty. We have so many kind of sovereignty. Maybe this time is economic sovereignty, and many people would think that maybe we are going to be, you feel like threatened by the globalization because economic sovereignty is something that other country, maybe developed country, will come to our country and then sell all their things, and our country can do anything because we are not as developed as they are. So what do you opine about this?
When the new international economic order started in the 1970s, this was the essential question, the North-South equation. I think that has adequately changed. And today, we need more South-South cooperation. For instance, India is not Indonesia's biggest trading partner, but we still have a trade of $20 billion. Now, we need to make sure that we introduce more complementarity. And we need to make sure that we do direct trade. We need to make sure we do direct investment in areas of our national development. That, to me, is grasping the correct attributes of globalization. Similarly, I think the RCEP was mentioned. Now, RCEP is a great courageous step forward, much as the ASEAN Economic Community. So, 1967, when ASEAN was formed, it was an extremely courageous step among 5 Southeast Asian countries. Today, I think the ASEAN Economic Community is an equally courageous step. You are trying to take advantage of your synergies and come up. The answers are not always clear, but you will come to them. But then how you will engage with your closest partners, that comes out through RCEP, which is the subject of hard negotiation. Because after all, everybody would need to have access to your markets, and you should be able to say, okay, I give you access to my market, but in return, you give me investment, or you give me energy, or you give me skills, something that you give me in return. And I think that is where we need to hone our skills. The challenge of a modern diplomat is how to deal with these challenges. It is no more a challenge simply of grasping an opportunity. It is now how do we implement an opportunity for mutual benefit. He talks about Panchashila, the Dasashila of Bandung. Mutual benefit was the core. And if you give mutual benefit, then you have equal partnership. And I think that is very important.
Rep, yes. Next, move to Kazakhstan. So what has been preferred as something like a foreign investment in your own country?
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me. Unfortunately, our ambassador has another commitment, so on behalf of my ambassador, I'm here to present our embassy in our country. Well, Kazakhstan, as you know, gained its independence in 1991 after the collapse of the Soviet Union. And I agree with His Excellency Ambassador of India that at the time Kazakhstan had the same question ahead, what to do. So our leadership of the country decided to open our market for foreign investors, to attract as many as possible investors, and to go ahead with development of the economy. So in our policy, economic development was put on the first place rather than political. And now we enjoying lots of foreign investors, like, for example, from the United States, from India as well, who, as you said, mutually we opened the market for them, but they attracted lots of investments. Then, of course, the most important program to be implemented in Kazakhstan, it was Kazakhstan 2030. Implementing this program, so we were aimed to develop the market economy, which was, in the beginning of independence, was absolutely, we inherited from Soviet Union, not market economy, it was absolutely planned economy. But right now, so we achieved quite big achievements. By 2013, Kazakhstan entered the top 50s economic in the world. And the next step is to enter top 30s of top economics in the world. In 2012, our president launched the new program, which is called Nurly Zhol. It means since geographically Kazakhstan locates right in the center, in the heart of Eurasia, so it's our advantage because we have a huge transit potential, logistical. So this program also, the program is aimed to use this transit potential, the transit corridors, and again to gain the advantage, benefits from it. Also, the challenge, the first challenge in the beginning of our independence, it was the cadres, the human resources. Then the president decided, okay, so we need people thinking differently from people used to thinking during the Soviet era. So in 1993, we launched the huge program, which called Bolashak, which means literally future. We sent abroad, so far it's been around 3,000 students annually to get from different universities, top universities, to get the education, to bring the experience and the knowledge back to our country. So in a short, this kind of developments in Kazakhstan. Thank you.
So far, what has been restricted in investment? Something like, for example, like in China, so foreign media is forbidden until today. But to some countries, any investment is something like a welcome. So, yeah, would you like to something like how we can share here between Kazakhstan and Indonesia, maybe to other countries? So,
yeah, for sure. In Kazakhstan, we are very welcome. There is no any restrictions for foreign investors. We launched recently one of the new program since Kazakhstan, as you know, it's an oil-based economy, which is our wealth at the same time. It's our curse because the recent drop of the oil prices hugely affected our economy. But the new program, which is called the Forced Industrial Development of Kazakhstan, aim to diversify our economy, to create as many as possible the manufacturing, small factories, plants. And of course, it's not only it's not doable only by our own resources. So that's why we attract investors. We create for investors the most favorable conditions. For example, as far as I know, they are exempt from, if the investor comes to Kazakhstan, and he is willing to establish jointly the, let's say, something manufacturing, which will be, the goods will be exported further to abroad, to overseas countries. So we will provide for them free land, which will be for the term of the project. Then the land tax, VAT tax, and other taxes, they're exempt for exact period of the project.
Right. Yeah. Before we move to the next section, this is the last one for Mr. Wapahan. I mean, yeah. So we have a challenge.